Last week, Saturday, MPP Etoaba Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as Omokan for Obedi Party na name and then take them to election 2028 to face the NDC Amanyokoro. Now, Nkomobi Akoso in the studios of Pan-African TV. Yeah, suggested say MPP aware said Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there is no way he will win a 2028 election. Nemo say Omanto Aba now Ghana Ebenka say why you Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Madam Peno. And Omujinazo selected Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as a flag bearer. This is the second time Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as a flag bearer. And to this time, no. So when Timmy are winning election, though they know that he's not going to win the election, the party will dump him and go in for a brand, a champion. Is this a trap for MPP? I said to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and I say genuinely, they want Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to lead the party in 2028 and then beyond. My person will be coming home. The details of this story from the studios of Pan-African TV. A higher Penguin TV, yet the political news name is a Mahodwa Hikabu Ghana and the bro. So you knew what has subscribed to the channel on bell notification on a share my from Ensa and Kebi. We had a sana, a bois, Emma, ye Juma di Koso. I think so you post video via YouTube on Kaya, no one you be at you. Yentie and Koma, a Koso, a Pan-African TV concerning, and I said, concerning allegedly trapper NPP. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
But you see, I want us to put certain things in context. My brother Kwachi had said here that, if he got so much percentage, there is nothing wrong about it. There is everything wrong about it. And I'm not going to compare the MPP with any other party. I'm comparing the NPP with itself. You see, about from 92, almost your delegate list never crossed, I think, 2,000. But these were delegates who were organically procured. These were delegates who were NPP people by, should I say, rights. They got there by merit. And you know how the voting went. It's always 50%, 50-something percent. In fact, with that same system, Akufo-Addo had 40-something percent. With that same system. I think it was after, is it 2010? When they changed the whole structure and brought what Professor Reframing describes in. That was when Akufo-Addo had 78% in the MPP. Check your history. It has never happened. He was the first because they put in a machinery that will ensure that even if he was in a wheelchair, he would have still won primaries. Even if he did not go out to campaign, he would have won primaries. That same system is what has been bequeathed to Dr. Bawumia. And when this was bequeathed to him, at his first show, he had, I think, 62%.
61.
Yes, 61 point something percent. Right? You have maintained that same system. And this time it's what?
56.
It's 56. So he has not just dropped. The system they created has even rejected him. He was part of that system. And it was a system that has been handed over to him. And he's performing poorly. And normally, all the candidates from the time of Kufuor, they keep, progressing. They keep doing better in primaries. This is the first time that somebody who did better with a certain machinery that can take names out of albums overnight that can change a whole register overnight. That is the system they have. You couldn't still obtain 80% or 90%. But it is their party. We can only piece in small, but it is their party. Now, the other thing that we would have to look at is what was this mindset of the delegates. This is a product that has been created basically by the Akufo-Addo legacy. I mean, and this product has been sold once and it has been rejected. If we bring in Brian or Ken, what we are trying to say is that in the first place we did not believe in the man, and let us not forget, I don't know whether to say tribal or religious. The NPP has always been accused of, dropping the Northerners after they have used them. That has been the narratives against the party. So what the delegates are thinking, okay, let's present him for the second time. We are sure, we know he is going to lose. But when he loses, then it becomes clear to everybody that it is not us who did not present him. We present him and you did not buy him. That is all that has happened. That is what your delegates have done. They did not vote for a person who they expect to win general elections. No. They voted for a person they knew so well will lose the next coming elections. But when you lose, then it is on your head. And they all know it. The reason why Brian showed up strongly in these primaries is for Brian to say that we know you are going to lose the general election. Yes, you will win the primaries, but you will lose the general election. So let me put myself in there strongly and be the next alternative after you have lost the 2028 elections, which you will lose from all indications. You will lose, one, because all candidates who went for this election did not on a single platform, and I listened very carefully, provided any alternative to the current government. Yes, it's your internal elections. Look, they couldn't even identify a problem that needed a solution. Oh, please.
But they did.
All the candidates. I mean, so what has Israel got to do with us in Ghana? You know, I am saying that all candidates, all of them, none of them, I had none of them professing any solution whatsoever or identifying a challenge we have as a nation that needed their attention. The one who came closely to doing that was Ken, who was on the run with jobs. Well, he attempted also telling us how he's going to create the jobs and all that. But you see, that is also another thing. I mean, we keep saying jobs in this country when we don't even understand the jobs. If you create factories, Nkrumah created a lot of factories. Nobody has done more than Nkrumah did. But where we miss the point is that our agricultural base was not linked to manufacturing. So although we were manufacturing, we still needed a lot of imports to do manufacturing, which again puts us in a position where we have to so much rely on the foreign currencies, which affects our currency itself. So there are issues there, but we could say that yes, he clearly identified something that he spoke on. But look, on the plain platform, that was not their interest. Nobody, and why I say so is that none of the aspirants, even with what Ken said, challenged Ken that, oh, these jobs, this is how you do it better. So it was not a conversation among people who really were coming with the interest of making sure that this country is at a better place than it is. No. They were coming with a mindset of being a president and having the largesse of the office of the president. That is all. Ghana was never in the picture. It was not in their interest at all. Because even the man who was talking job, no one engaged him on that. None of them. None of the aspirants. It is to say that, Maza, this is not what we needed. And how do you expect Ghanaians to vote for you? Now, the delegate have done well. They've elected Dr. Bawumia. The issue here is how, I'm just looking at how the NPP is going to rebrand Bawumia to the people of Ghana as to say that he's capable of managing an economy. That is where I am at a loss. How you are going to do it? You have nice strategists in there, but we know them. And I look at them and I ask myself, how are they going to tell us in any way that this man who failed at it, who failed at managing this economy, is now all good, is back, he's read his books, is recollected what he was taught in finance and in economics, and now he's going to do better than he did as a vice president and the head of the economic management team. Well, I did not say he was the head of the economic management team. They said it, and they mentioned the people under it. I did not.
He said it.
He said it. He in fact mentioned the people who will support him on that platform to do his work. So please, that one, it is not, I don't know what is called mate. It was a ticket of a president and a vice president. And I knew that my vice president then was responsible for managing this economy. That went into tatters. That he managed so badly. That is what we are talking about. I am saying that before he became vice president, he has gone out there, touted policies, criticized the then government, right? And professed some solutions. He had opportunity and he couldn't justify why he said in one of his lectures that when you play politics or propaganda with the economy, the currency will expose you. Now, when the currency exposed him, what did he come to say to us? Did he say to us that, I'm sorry, what I so much believed in economically was probably in theory, but practically it doesn't happen? Did he have that respect for the people of Ghana, people of Ghana, to say that, well, I said this, but on a second note, it is wrong? This and that factors I did not look at up to now. You see, it is not an admission that we want, a blanket admission of these were lectures. And when do you understand what lectures are? These are things that are well researched, that you put out there, right? And when you put them out there, you expect time to judge you. And time judged him, and he was found guilty, right, of telling lies. I mean, if you go into that lectures, paragraph by paragraph, I will point to you how someone who claimed to be a finance or economic person, economist or whatever, shouldn't have even attempted going out there and speaking that way. Because we all know that there must be some strength in your own currency to fight any other currency. It doesn't just depend on what other currencies' values are, but your own currency. So if you manage inflation poorly, if your CPIs goes up, the purchasing power, without comparing the currency to any other currency itself, gets weaker. Because today, if I have 100 cedis and can buy 5 pence, and that same 100 cedis tomorrow can only buy 2 pence, it is not about just the dollar or the exchange rate exposing someone, but the CPI charging upwards and surging upwards is actually reducing the energy in the currency or in the face value of the currency I'm holding. Let him come and testify to us that he actually wrote those things. Let him tell us that he so much believed in the things that he wrote in the past. Or let him tell us that all those things he did in the past were just, for the cameras, and he didn't mean it. And therefore, now he's gone back to his books and what he learned actually, and well researched, and he thinks that he can solve the Ghanaian problem. Because if you don't understand the problem, how do I give you a problem or this nation to solve? If you have proven to me that you do not understand the problem we are having in this economy and how it should be solved, how then do you convince me and tell me that, I have solutions for you? Because you don't even understand the challenges. And you have proven to us by things you said, lectures you gave. It wasn't just campaign. It wasn't just you on a campaign platform that we sometimes go gaga and say all sorts of things. These were lectures with PowerPoints and touch screen, all sorts of things. That you did. You, the MPP, own that. The MPP as a party itself have not also been bold to own up to those faults. And then you come and say, I have presented Bawumia back again, and you are expecting him to go to an election, contest a general election against somebody who did not organize lectures, who did not actually speak any technical language in economics or in finance, but who is getting the results for the people of Ghana. The CPI's deterioration has significantly improved. Significantly improved. Our currency has significantly gained strength and seen a lot of appreciation. Right? Our borrowing rates have reduced. The cost of borrowing in Ghana today has reduced from what it used to be. And so I am saying, what is their position in terms of the economy, for which they are bringing us an economist or somebody who is finance savvy? What do they have? What have they identified? That candidate you have brought to us, how are you going to sell the candidate for the people? Well, we will wait and see how they sell him, because we are so much prepared for him. I tell you, he's a boxer we know, and we know him so well. After all is done, they are going into another elections to elect the chairman, the executives of the party. And trust me, this is what is going to happen. The brutalities will start here, where everybody suspected of siding with the other two mainly Brian, and then as for the other two, there are also other two. They don't really care about them. Dutrum, and they don't really see even them in the elections they went to. So that is so that thing. But for the main two, that is Ken and Brian, this is where the targeting will start. And so you see all the people who want to be chairman, some of them going close to Bawumia and all that, and others have also stayed off basically. And they are going to elect people who will tell or told their lie, right? And this is the Akufo-Addo legacy, who will told their lie. They are going to bring a general secretary who will told their lie. They are going to bring a national organizer who will told their lie. And they will also supervise at the grassroots level in terms of the regional level and the constituency level. They would also it will be the same structure. So it's a legacy for me. What I am happy about, it is a legacy which is not being truncated today. In fact, it will go after 2028, and it would affect them again. And I'll be so happy they continue with that.
Mr. Osu.
So you see, sometimes I'm very happy that some of us left the NPP at the time we realized the party had been reduced to nothing, no principle. There is practically no principle in the party. That if a party decided to go to court in 1994, remember the NPP versus the Attorney General on the 31st December celebrations. And in that case, all that the relief, all that the NPP was seeking was to bar the government from using state funds to celebrate a coup occasion. That was in 1994. They went to court. They said, under no circumstance must the state eulogize coup. And this was the new patriotic party versus not an individual, the entire party versus the Attorney General. It was a landmark case. The NPP won 5-4. And it's the reason why 31st December is no longer celebrated with public funds. So they should have been the first people to be calling for the removal of Kotoka from the airport. You understand? As a country, you must have what we call national agenda. What is our national agenda? When the entire world is celebrating Kwame Nkrumah, as a matter of fact, anybody that stands anywhere and says that Kwame Nkrumah didn't do things, he didn't get certain things wrong, I will be the first person to question the person's integrity. How can a human being be in this world and say, I did certain things and I didn't get it wrong? He got a lot of things wrong. But as a country, you must have what you call a national agenda. Your hero who is being celebrated everywhere. When I went to Washington, I was in the Union Building, I was reading about Kwame. I looked at all the people, the monuments that were there. I felt proud as a Ghanaian. You know, I'm not coming from the CPP background, but I'm so happy that at least the name of Ghana is being represented by Kwame Nkrumah. So if you're beyond all the argument, I've read what Professor Azari has written. He's thinking on the theoretical point of view. But if as a country you want to develop along agenda, national agenda, then we are blowing hot and cold. That in one breath, Ghana sees Kwame Nkrumah as a hero. Now the first point of call, the name that you see is Kotoka. So anybody who doesn't know the history of Kotoka, googles quickly, and what comes out or pops out is that Kotoka was the one that removed Kwame Nkrumah. So in one breath you are celebrating Kwame Nkrumah, in another breath you are celebrating the person that removed Kwame Nkrumah. How does this work out? Why must this even be a debate? What monumental achievement would you attribute to Kotoka apart from the fact that he overthrew Kwame Nkrumah? And whether or not that overthrow led Ghana to any promised land. We have had a lot of coup d'etats since then. NLC, NLC, SMC, and so on. It's the reason we are retarded in our development. Interestingly, people who ought to know, I've seen them begin to post the sectorial performances of Kwame Akroma in 66. Justifying that because the economy, granted the economy wasn't doing well, they didn't cause or call for a coup d'etat. And these are coming from intellectuals. Then they raise the issue of preventive detection at PDA. Sarah, every act is passed by parliament. Is that the case? So they create the impression that though Kwame Nkrumah single-handedly brought a law to be dealing with people that really wanted to harm him. If you are a president and people are attempting your life and you decide to put in place, go to India and go and check the National Security Act. Today, in modern day, go and check how different is that National Security Act of India from that PDA. Now, when you box them, they didn't move, elevate the discussion to what about the Avoidance Discrimination Act? And that Kwame Nkrumah was creating one party state. And I said, what? So they don't even know what the Avoidance Discrimination Act came to do. How can you form a political party on ethnic lines or religious lines, Muslim association, Gashi people pay, Anglo youth, Trans-Togoland, and you think that this is a political party? No, because he was afraid of elections. If you read, Kwame Nkrumah was in prison when he won the Odododio election. He won the 54 election. So in terms of winning elections, that was also somebody who was afraid of elections. You get my point? Everybody is serious. And I find that's why they are even going to remove him. And sometimes I get surprised that he introduces the ethnic element. And there is another person at the National Development Planning Commission, Professor something, who has also written something. I can't imagine that he is calling on all efforts around the globe to fight against the removal of Kotoka. Where are we going to get into with this? Where is the country going with this sort of shallow thinking? We cannot entertain that, because names have a meaning. Look, I agree with Accra entirely. You know why? Because you see, you can name an airport after a place. It gives the place recognition. Why is Cairo Airport not there? If you go to Addis Ababa, it's not Bole Airport. Bole is the name of the district. Can still promote Accra. And by the way, it used to be the original name. Before it was named Kotoka International Airport, was not Accra International Airport. So you must stop this business. Look, it's the only reason why my brothers in the Npp are not coming forth with the idea of UPCP, because now when they go and mention UP, it is our party. It advantages us. So they even go there to even promote us. By the way, let me use this opportunity to address a fundamental flaw with my brother Sebe. Look, the United Party is not always praising government. Let me tell you something. And see, you are not following well. When you are an opposition party, you are supposed to behave responsibly. You don't just criticize an administration for criticizing. In fact, between the MPP and the United Party, we have, as it were, criticized this government more than them. Look, I remember the first time they mentioned the name of Buzitano as the one in charge of 24-hour economy. I was the first person to criticize the appointment. But when there is not, if inflation is 3.8 today, and I know that you left it at 23%, on what basis would I go and criticize? You yourself, you ended by praising the government, that all the indicators are good. So are you doing the bidding of the president, the government?
I'm sure you need to give praise where it's due.
Now, so what different is what you have been doing from what I've been doing? Because you couldn't have done otherwise. That when the indicators are so good, better comparative to what you left, on what basis would I criticize? On what basis would I criticize John Mahama that the CD has stabilized, when I know the importance of the stabilization of the currency? Your own people, they are unable to defend. What they say is that, why is it that the Bank of Ghana has invested close to 10 billion into the economy to stabilize? I say, hey, where are these people coming from? So you are a government, when you know that Article 183 or so tells the guy and mandates the Bank of Ghana to, as it were, ensure the stability of the currency. And that when you have money sitting there, and you know that if you don't intervene in the market, the city will wobble. You will sit down for the city to wobble to wipe away people's working capital, and say you were government. No way. But what we from the United Party will not do is that we will criticize blindly. That's what we will do. Look, as a government, it is not that the Auditor General's report is going to come. Is that not the case? Yeah. So if they were strategic enough, and no wonder Afenyo last time told all of us that the 2025, the whole of 2025, they never had any strategy in Parliament. And when he said, I said, hey, we were just doing anything anyhow. And now that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has come, they hope that he will give them directions. You understand? Because as opposition, they think that the work of opposition is always to oppose. No.
Okay.
You understand? So the name is long overdue. They must clear the Kotoka and immediately replace it with Accra International Airport, and we move on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just a few.
Over to you.
Well, I mean, there's so little time that it's impossible to do a comprehensive analysis of this matter. So I'll start by stating that I am 500% in favor of changing the name from Kotoka International Airport to Accra International Airport. 500% in favor of that decision. What I reject is the ethnic analysis, is the base, childish, stupid ethnic analysis which has found its way into this debate. So those who use ethnic analysis to justify the change have a problem. And those who use ethnic analysis to attack the change also have a problem. We are building one Ghana. That was the national goal from independence to today. We are building one Ghana. Every Ghanaian national is entitled to the resources in Accra and the resources in Paga equally. The people of Paga are not entitled to the resources of Paga exclusively. In much the same way that the people of Ashanti are not entitled to the resources of Ashanti exclusively. We are building one Ghana. That is the national objective. Look, it's important, as Solomon Owusu said, to recognize the NPP's own recent history. Yes, the NPP went to court and got a court decision saying that all coup d'etats should not be celebrated. That's a decision which the NPP instigated, that all coup d'etats. It was not just a decision. The NPP went ahead and changed Sankara Circle to Obechebi Lante Circle. So the NPP went ahead and took practical action to change the names of structures and places named after coup plotters and persons who executed coups. That is why today we have Akwaje Park instead of Sankara, Akwaje Interchange instead of Sankara Interchange. So if the NPP is to be consistent, it cannot be opposed to this proposal from the Mahama administration. Consistency requires that it toes the line. Now, there is something else which is very significant, and my brother has also mentioned it, that Akroma was not an angel. You know, the Preventive Detention Act was whatever. Fortunately, my brother, you are a lawyer. Show me one country, and I mean one country in the world, who does not have a Preventive Detention Act today. Show me one country in the world. If you look at our constitution today, under certain circumstances, citizens' rights are suspended. Go and read the provisions on the declaration of Declaration of War and so on. Under some circumstances, the Patriot Act in the United States of America, is it not a preventive detention act? The Patriot Act. Britain has the same law. Germany has the same law. So to pretend that only the Akroma government instituted this law is dishonest. Because every government in the world has one form of preventive detention act or the other. And Sora was right. It is under the Patriot Act that people were arrested all over the world without charge and trial and dumped at the Guantanamo Bay in Cuba by the United States of America. So let's be fair to the facts. In any case, what was the substantial difference between the Preventive Detention Act and the Protective Custody Law? What was the difference? This was the law under which all CPP activists, including pregnant women, were arrested and detained without charge or trial. So please, let's be fair to the facts. Preventive Detention Act cannot be put on the neck of the Convention People's Party and the CPP alone. Every government has had a Preventive Detention Act one way or the other. You see, we will have enough time to discuss these matters. On Ghana's Day of Shame, the 24th of February, there will be a public forum on these matters. And that public forum will be transmitted live on Pan-African television. So those who have time, please listen. It will help. And those who can afford it, they should come to the headquarters of the Socialist Movement of Ghana, where these issues will be debated in detail by Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians together, people from the United States of America. So we'll all be there to discuss these matters in detail. But you see, the February 24th, 1966 coup was not an ordinary coup d'etat. It was not an ordinary coup d'etat. In fact, it's a very, very special coup d'etat. What went into it has not gone into any other coup d'etat in Ghana. Why? The evidence, and I'm talking about the evidence, is clear that this was a coup d'etat which was sponsored, planned, and executed by the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America. The evidence is in the declassified documents of the CIA. The evidence is in the testimony of Philip Agee, who was one of the most prominent agents of the CIA. The evidence is in other testimonies, Philip Agee and John Stockwell and so on. They've all written extensively about this. So let's get out of our illiteracy and read. The evidence is in a book titled The Great Deception, How Nkrumah Was Overthrown, which is the publication of the declassified documents of the CIA with comments. It's available at the Freedom Bookshop. You can get it right now. You understand? The evidence is in a book authored by J.D. Mahoney, the son of the U.S. ambassador at the time, using his father's documents and so on. He's provided the evidence to show that that coup was planned, instigated, supported, sponsored by the Central Intelligence Agency of the USA. So the evidence points to the fact that the 1966 coup was a direct foreign attack on national sovereignty. So those who are praising Kotuka for organizing the coup, they don't know the history. Kotuka was a small tool in the hands of the CIA for organizing the coup. And indeed, the historical evidence again is on YouTube. I interviewed Mr. A.K. Deku, who was one of the conspirators, Commissioner of Police, CID, and then Akroma, who became a Commissioner of the National Liberation Council. I interviewed him a few weeks before he died. A.K. Deku was chairman of the Council of Elders of the New Patriotic Party, and I interviewed him for a program on TV3 called Hot Issues. The whole program as we speak is on YouTube. Go there and listen to A.K. Deku. I asked A.K. Deku to evaluate Nkrumah. A.K. Deku said that Nkrumah is the best president that Africa has produced, not Ghana, Africa has produced. I asked him, why then did you join the conspiracy to overthrow him? He said to protect his life, and that if he had opted out